the fabulous Facebook and Twitch here in a minute. That will again. Ow! The I just bumped my knee that's got the big scab on it, and it right on the deal. And I do this all the time, and it sends me that blood curdling pain up your leg. That's why the big ow of that. But no, we'll be ripping here on YouTube here in a flat flash. We are ripping on YouTube. We'll be coming up on Facebook, Twitch for a very busy. Hey, Tom Cruise even lit it off again a second time. He doubling down on his rant from yesterday. That and lots of other stuff we will cover pertinent to our lives as we go. The funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday on Newswire, both on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, which press that like and subscribe button. As Stephanie always says, she'll probably be back tomorrow on that. Had some stuff to do today on her very busy schedule. So you just get Roy solo. Jesse's back pushing all the buttons and keeping everything running. As only he does on that. That sweet talking his computer's back, and maybe they'll start working better. Who knows? He's over there rubbing the screen on that. Lots of stuff going on, as I said, today on the old blower. One of the very interesting was, and it has a little bit, and have the stripper pictures ready. And I know that got your attention, hopefully, on that. No, and it is a San Diego judge today, or I think yesterday, ruled that strip clubs can stay open for business. And I heard, it was not part of this report, but I heard restaurants were in part of the deal. So, to get some little background on this, we're going to look at News 8 down in San Diego. So here we go.
The judge said the state showed no evidence that strip clubs contributed to the expanding pandemic.
There has not been a single COVID case that's traceable back to either of the plaintiff's establishments.
Arguments on both sides Wednesday in the San Diego courtroom of Judge Joel Woolfield. First up was the attorney representing local strip clubs, Pacers and Cheetahs, which were both issued cease and desist orders over the weekend by the state of California.
There's no apparent reason why people cannot gather for live adult entertainment, either indoors or outdoors, but they can shop at indoor malls until they drop.
The attorney for Pacers, Jason Sacuzzo, argued the clubs are abiding by social distancing orders and conduct business outdoors.
We have big box retail stores, grocery stores, airports, Hollywood production houses, cannabis dispensaries, so many other activities being allowed, but no live adult entertainment.
But attorneys for the state and county told the judge because of the recent surge in COVID cases, the strip clubs need to be temporarily shut down.
Just yesterday, the state had to order 5,000 more body bags. This is the most serious moment of this pandemic.
After hearing the arguments, it only took the judge a few minutes to release a 9-page ruling in favor of the strip clubs. The court finds that plaintiffs have been devoid of COVID and have done nothing to contribute to the spread of COVID. The judge saw, quote, no evidence that businesses with restaurant service, such as plaintiffs' establishments, who've implemented protocols as directed by the county, have impacted ICU bed capacity throughout the Southern California region.
There you go. As we do that on there and see if we can get I like the stripper picture that we had, if we can post that up there. Yes, pay close attention to the sanitizer. No, they're practicing the masks and hand sanitizer and all that other stuff of going on. And what the thing that I picked up is the government attorneys started this we've ordered 5,000 body bags, as we brought out yesterday, as Hairgel did in his press conference on Monday, or Tuesday, excuse me, on that. And he's trying to put the scare tactics in the refrigerator trucks, and they said that and all this. But the judge said, you have presented, as the LA County judge said when the restaurant sued, you're providing no evidence, no scientific data, no experts that say strip clubs, restaurants, or anything are impacting the ICU bed capacity throughout Southern California, as Judge Joel Wolfell said. So why, and that's why took him minutes. He didn't have to deliberate. As the report said, he only took him minutes to pencil this out, to figure this out, that the government is not doing this on any basis of fact, reality, data, or anything else. It's just because we can control you. That's why they throw in the 5,000 body bags and refrigerator trucks and all this other stuff. When are we going to stop buying the BS? I think most people have on this whole deal. And I got to say, there's another great California judge, Judge Joel Wolfell, who said it didn't take him but about a few minutes of after hearing the arguments on both sides, to rule in favor of the strip clubs and say, you're not bringing me any evidence that shows that these establishments are impacting coronavirus, ICU capacity, or anything else. So your argument or your order is arbitrary and capricious, which means it's based on nothing other than we can do it. There's no basis in fact, law, or anything else, as the judge ruled of that. So he said, sayonara. Kudos to Judge Joel Wolfell. I hope we get more of them like Judge Sarah Hegman up in Northern California, which ruled one of Gavin Newsom's executive orders unconstitutional. I think the cracks are finally the crack in the dam is sprung, and now it's waiting. It's going to start expanding, and hopefully we're going to recall Gavin Newsom on this whole deal, and we're going to have attorney and former Secretary of State candidate in 2018, Mark Meuser, on to talk about that later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. Another one that I wanted to get to is a lot of that. California teachers unionized mobilize against Democratic school reopening bill. This is in Politico. Is, not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. California teachers unions are demanding that the legislature maintain pandemic restrictions on school openings, having begun mobilizing against a Democratic bill introduced last week that could force schools to reopen in March. In a separate letters to the legislatures, California Teachers Association and the California Federation of Teachers urge lawmakers to avoid rushing to reopen K-12 schools as capital momentum builds to address learning loss and education inequities. Most of the state's 6 million public school children remain at home with distance learning. There you go. I've said it. Teachers have been the biggest roadblock to opening up schools in California. How much more evidence than you need? The supermajority of Democratic legislators in the state of California are saying, what are you California teachers and school districts doing? Again, there's no data scientific that says schools should be closed at this point. Zero, zip, nada, nothing. Hardly. I mean, the overwhelming evidence is that we spent hundreds of $1 million retrofitting classrooms, putting up barriers, making sure there's plenty of masks or whatever they're going to do, and it still isn't good enough. As Moreno Valley and Val Verde and many other school districts are doing right now, they're canceling in-class study through the rest of the 2021 school year. That means into March or June, the late May, June, when it usually shuts down. You're not, the whole 2021 school year has been pretty much wiped out in California because of teachers and school districts not wanting to open up our schools. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Further quoting from the article, the bill would require schools that reach the state's red, orange, or yellow tiers to implement a plan to open within 2 weeks starting March 1st, setting a clear threshold for in-person instruction resumes, according to co-author Assemblymember Phil Tang, Sacramento, Democrat. And he put the bill up, and the teachers union are even going against their own, the ones that they've contributed up to $200 million in the last decade, mostly to, and probably almost exclusively to Democrats. Now the Democrats are saying there's no real reason to keep the schools closed, yet they still do it. This is absolutely incredulous of what's going on. Another one that popped up on here, and this is in the Federalist of that. Critical race theory permeates a new student survey in Fairfax Public Schools. On October 19th, students at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology opened their laptops to check for another difficult week online learning. Principal Ann Bontanebus had another priority waiting for them. A 12-question survey updated here, the publicly disclosed in this column for the first time, where students were to think about their recent experience as a TJ as whole and provide answers to help support an inclusive, equitable experience at Thomas Jefferson. The survey asks if the teacher expectations for students from diverse groups defined as parental phrase, race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic standard are equitable at school, both for achievement and behavior, while optional sign of statistic unsound survey, and were school officials stated it wouldn't be anonymous. They're going to call you out. Thomas Jefferson High School in Fairfax, Virginia, is the #1 school in the United States as far as academic achievement. You do not get into up until this point, and you watch they're going to tear this down. You don't just walk in there and say, "Oh, I want to go to Thomas Jefferson or something." You have to be the elite of the elite of the elite of academics to get into that school. That is for the best and the brightest of that to do that. And they're trying to run this, and that's what they want to do. They're going to say, okay, well, because you don't have this, and you want to say discriminatory or whatever, that school right now, in my understanding, is 73% Asian, about 17% white, and 9% black and brown as we define things as skin tone. So if you want to do that, why is one class dominating over another of that? Because maybe of their of that. A Chinese American parent said the survey reminded her of Cultural Revolution in China and its interference in every aspect of citizens' lives. Another parent responded, "This is a parasite revolution. Since schools shut down earlier this year, Fairfax students haven't seen the inside of a classroom on top of inferior online instruction. School is peppering children with questions about equity and equitable experiences." Born in India, TJ mother Saparta Duda said, "It doesn't take a village to teach my child about ethical and moral values. That's my sacred job and responsibility as a parent. And I find it offensive that Fairfax County Public Schools tries to intrude on my family values whenever it wants," even, she noted, with a superstitious survey. This has got to stop. This whole critical race theory and this whole junket that's going on here, and we're trying to do that. We're trying to tear apart our education system. Teachers do not want to go back to school. I don't know how else you're going to argue that with the evidence that's coming on each and every day here. And what they're doing is hurting our children immensely. As it goes on to say in the article, like on and on. The academic loss of kids, not only in the United States, across the world, of not attending school for a year and a half and doing this virtual online, which has in most cases been a 98.7% disaster. It's not about this. It's not about that. And flip up number 4, please, because I just want to put this. And the new racist message, achievement is white. From San Diego to New York City, school administrators, school boards, and education officials are using anti-racism as an excuse to ditch traditional measurements for grades and merit like test attendance and participation, claiming these benchmarks of behavior are symbols of white supremacy, systemic racism, responsible for the achievement gap between academic results of Black and Hispanic students, that Asian and white students. They don't take a look at one thing that is responsible: the failures of the public education systems. That says it right there. This is not about diversity. It's not about systemic racism or Black Lives Matters or any of this other crap. It's about, we want to collect more money for doing less work. Because everything that we've been doing on this has been absolutely not only killing our kids, it's killing society in general, and we got to stop it immediately on that. Another one coming up, the big flap about in San Francisco. If you want the last piece of evidence I'm going to bring you. San Francisco, this is in Fox 2, KTVU. San Francisco committee wants to remove Abraham Lincoln's name from a high school that had for its past treatment of Native Americans as part of the recommendations of the city's mayor calls for offensive timing during the pandemic. A November meeting, the school's named advisory committee recommended renaming 44 schools with the name of historical figures the committee finds inappropriate. Abraham Lincoln School is one, so are schools named after George Washington and Dianne Feinstein. Democrat, mayor and supervisor of San Francisco and U.S. senators since 92 to present of this, as reported in the Chronicle. Purging the great emancipator and the 16th president came with no debate, according to Jeremiah Jeffries, a first-grade teacher and chairman of the committee. The history of Lincoln and Native Americans is complicated, not nearly as well known as that of the Civil War slavery. Jeffries told the Chronicle Lincoln, like the presidents before him, and most after, did not show through policy and rhetoric that Black lives mattered to them outside the human capital casualties of wealth building. There you go. First grade teacher coming up with that. You know who's disagreeing with this? Not only right after Gavin Newsom dined at the French Laundry, it was Mayor Breed of San Francisco. Here's in the article. Some have taken a stand, including San Francisco Mayor London Breed. She tweeted her disapproval of the remaining efforts and calling the timing offensive as the Bay Area remains under mandatory stay-at-home order and public schools are closed. She said the city needs school districts to focus on how to reopen schools safely rather than rename them. And she believes in all this crap, and she's saying this is out, but teachers are leading the committee to do this. I don't know what incarnations we need to do to knock this stuff off. It's ridiculous of that. We cannot deal with this. We cannot let this stand. No way, no how. Because we keep getting this each and every day. Look at this. California COVID update. ICU capacity drops to 0% of Southern California. State reports 379 deaths, a shattering report says. This is ABC 7 here.
Katie are getting their COVID-19 vaccinations today. This is one facility where hospital beds are quickly filling up and there are no ICU beds available. Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia is there live with the very latest on a very dire situation. Sid?
The situation is getting worse every single day because, according to doctors and nurses we've spoken to in the past couple of days, more and more people are getting sick of COVID-19 or contracting the virus. Here's the deal. 0.0% ICU beds, which in layman's terms means they're all being used up. It's the first day frontline medical staff at Methodist Hospital in Arcadia.
Okay, what they're not telling you is when they get to this supposed point of 0, they actually take beds that are open off the table so they have surge capacity, is my understanding. So you're getting a false narrative off of this report. And if you heard the 21,000 cases, new coronavirus cases in LA, well, they didn't tell you, or they blow by. Well, that was 7,000 added today from not reporting from the few days before, or glitches in the system, as we've heard before, and all this other happy blank stuff that's going on. They continue to misinformation, scare us with the body bags. We're all at capacity, blah, 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 which, as we've heard the reports, at this time of year, it's flu season, our hospitals are full. Every year, has been for decades. There is no immediate crisis, the world's falling apart, that we're in danger of killing people all across the board. They keep this goofy rhetoric going all the time, just to keep us on our toes of not going back and forth and doing this and that. It's absolutely incredulous of what in the heck is going on. I don't know how much more of this we're going to take in our society, but for crying out loud, how much more evidence do we need? You tell me of that. How much do we have to focus on where the real racism is? And it's not where the dominant media or the so-called computer keyboard artists keep claiming it is. The situation is a powder keg getting ready to explode across this whole deal. And we don't do anything, our public officials are just walking around this stuff like it doesn't exist. And that's kind of what's really, really, really frightening about this. I mean, when the San Diego judge can make that decision off of the facts presented from him, yeah, there is no evidence that restaurants or strip clubs are making our ICU capacity go up. Then why the order? Took him minutes to come up with that. That he didn't buy. Thank goodness he did not buy the scare tactics of the government lawyers that said, "Oh, we got 5,000 body bags order and we're at capacity and the world's coming to an end." Yada yada yada. I mean, that's what we're facing on this whole thing that's going on. And we will update that, and hopefully this will be the motivation. We'll have attorney Mark Meuser, who was one of the ones that started this. Recall Gavin Newsom. This is the petition. Pick these up. We will get them to you. You can download them, print them out, sign them, get your neighbors to sign them, your family members to sign them. We're almost halfway there to the amount of signatures. We got 4 more months to do it. Let's get this done of that. Just to update you on Tom Cruise's second tirade on Mission Impossible, 7th set causes 5 new crew members to quit, report says. We played to you the F-bomb loaded stuff where he blew up, where 2 people were supposedly sitting less than 6 feet apart at a computer on his newest movie shoot, Mission Impossible, and he just blew his stack on it. Well, this is a report on Fox News. 5 staff members have reportedly called it quits on the set of Mission Impossible after he alleged second outburst from a star, Tom Cruise. The Ethan Hunt actor made waves earlier this week when an audio recording of him dressing down crew members for not abiding by social distancing guidelines on the set was leaked and went viral. Neither neither representatives from Paramount Pictures nor Cruise immediately responded to Fox News about this. But apparently, they added, but Tom just can't take any more about the lengths they've gone to keep filming. He's upset others aren't taking him seriously on that, of that. But I guess he's getting a mini revolt on his crew for doing this, and they're starting to quit on this. And, I can see blowing your stack or losing your cool on that. But a second time, that doesn't bode well for Mr. Cruz on that issue on that. So I hope it's just not a typical actor thing where they just get their head so inflated that they think they can do everything, or they think they can order people around. I get that. Anybody can lose their cool, but it is concerning that he comes back on a second shot and repeats the same thing or that on that after doing that. That is very concerning on that. And, on a bottom line, I can see that. I can get the first part. Yeah, you blew your cool. Everybody does it. But if you continue that, then it might be you that's the problem in this, and not other people going back and forth on the situation. But we shall see what this brings to us as we as that story unfolds, as we're going across the dial. We had and we'll update a little bit on the deal, just an update, and we'll do more when Stephanie comes in tomorrow. But throw a couple of the pictures up of the toy drive we had at Dory's last night. On that very successful toy drive, we collected lots of toys for the Spark of Love for the firefighters and ABC7 going across the board. Lots and lots and lots of stuff going up there. It was a great time. We were there for a couple hours or so, loaded up. There you see a picture of all the toys going that were stacked up on the desk, and that was early. There was a lot more that came in after that. On the stuff going on, so it was a great time. Lots of people showed up, had a lot of deal, and in these trying times, like I said, if you can drop off a toy at any fire station in California. The firefighters can't do their stuff a truck like they do at the big box stores or something where they get lots of toys and stuff. It's just, we're all in challenging times, and that's no fault of theirs or anybody, well, not of anybody else. We know who to point the blame, and we'll talk about that with the recall of Gavin and things like that coming up when we get Mark Meuser on after the bottom of the hour. But we really need to double down the efforts, because we don't want to have kids, especially in this season when the suicide rates are just going crazy, especially among kids. I just heard another report of a 14-year-old. It was like, honor student, no problems, this and that. He apparently shot himself of that in a suicide. He said, and left a note that he just couldn't take this not being with his friends or anything like that. And there was almost no indication that anything was going wrong. I mean, this is like a kid you would never hardly suspect that was dealing with this, and took his own life at 14 years old. And, obviously the family is devastated over that. So anything you can do to help, grab a toy, drop it off at a fire department anywhere up until Christmas Eve. They will get it distributed to a needy child, or a child that isn't, wouldn't otherwise get anything for Christmas. And probably this year, of anything of this year, that is probably more important than it ever has been, because we're, we do not, the stories you hear about that, especially being in this line of work and then going and hearing them at the public meetings and stuff like that, and the news reports and everything, are just absolutely heartbreaking. It's very difficult to come in here, not only to listen to them, but to have to report them to you like that, make you aware of it. But again, we want to do everything in our power to prevent anything like that happening, on top of getting us back to the way it was before March of 2020. Again, get a toy, drop it off at any fire station in California. they will get it to a very deserving and needy kid that would not be, that would probably not get anything in Christmas. We all know about the economy. A lot of people are strained beyond their means, even more so and in greater numbers than probably in years that we've, in many years, if not decades, and we have. So
30 seconds, Roy. 30 seconds.
That we do this and do that, because I don't want to have to come in here and relay or report or hear about any more of the, especially a kid taking their own life over the circumstances that we've created in our society.
Here we go, Roy. 10 seconds.
That's OEMSupplyKing.com.
OEM Supply King. We got it!
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed not necessarily.
Oh, some of the funny things you see when you're doing something like this. We're on, as we come on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Red, 1490 AM, broadcasting all across the AM dial and in the Inland Empire, and joining our video audience on iNewswire on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Of that, you see Stephanie's not in today. She should be back tomorrow on that. We had a really good time out at Dory's Bar and Grill out in Woodcrest, Riverside area. Got a big toy drive. You're seeing pictures of the many toys we collected. It was a big, and there was plenty more. That was early in the night. Man, they filled up boxes. We filled up the whole car with the toys that will be distributed to that. If you and you can, especially in this challenging time of that, you can take a toy to any fire station in California up until Christmas Eve, and they will get it to a needy kid. And bicycle riders, I mean, I think you rode clear across the state in your campaign. Just give us a little update of what you've been doing on that.
Your listeners don't care about my athletic achievements. They are concerned about putting food on the table, and they're having trouble doing so with the dictator Gavin Newsom. And really, what they want to know is what is going on. And we have been seeing a lot of exciting news in the last week. In fact, I kind of call it a pile-on effect that is going on. Everybody is rushing to the Gavin Newsom recall party. We have seen articles written by The Hill. We have seen articles written by Politico. I mean, the media is rushing to cover this story. Like, don't leave us out of this story. We got to find a way to cover this story. And then in addition to that, we have seen conservative PACs across the state starting to jump in. Stuff like Take Back California PAC this weekend, or not this weekend, yesterday, sent out an email blast to all their people saying, hey, please sign the petition and mail it back. And just today, Reform California, again, one of the bigger conservative PACs in the state, sent out an email saying, hey, we need to sign this petition, download the petition here, and mail it back. So we're seeing a major pile-on factor that just escalated exponentially over the last couple days even, if not the last week. But, I mean, it's just really taken off where the media is talking about it, and all the politicians on the conservative side of the state don't want to be left behind because they want to get on this train before the train leaves the station.
It is. I mean, it is, and I'm attributing it to the French Laundry deal of Gavin Newsom. If ultimately the recall is successful, I think you're going to see that as a turning point. As we reported yesterday, not only the $300 a plate for the food, $700 a person for the bar bill, $1,000 for 22 people to do that while he's partying hardy, ignoring all his COVID, the stuff that we are supposed to be under per his, my opinion, unconstitutional executive orders. And That and as you're right, I'm seeing. I mean, the momentum has switched in the last week, and even his people, I think, are very nervous about this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following this since pretty much day one. I came out very early in support of this effort because I believe that Gavin's orders back in March, his executive orders, were unconstitutional. I believe I was the first attorney in the United States of America after Gavin Newsom issued his shelter-in-place executive order to come out and publicly say, hey, this is unconstitutional. And that video went pretty viral, the one where I laid out in detail how this was all unconstitutional. And since then, I've been involved in 20, 30 lawsuits against the governor over his COVID powers. I've been, we're working on even more. But, as you said, the French Laundry thing really clicked with a lot of people. I know Republicans very high up in the state politics who really weren't all that excited about the recall, weren't supporting it, and literally the day after that came out, they were signing the petition and telling people to sign the petition. But, that's not the only example of hypocrisy that's going on in the state. You may have seen the viral video of that bar in Los Angeles County where she spent $80,000 to set up an outdoor tent so people could eat outdoors, and she's told they can't eat there because it's unsafe. And literally 20 feet away is an outdoor tent of a Hollywood production studio where people are sitting there eating. So 20 feet away, a small business owner who spent $80,000 trying to comply with these COVID orders is unsafe. But 20 feet away, because of Hollywood lobbyists got exemptions from Gavin Newsom, they're allowed to eat over there. And so the hypocrisy of what is going on in the state has reached a level where people are saying enough is enough. The media is recognizing it. The political activists are understanding it. And all of this is because of your listeners, the grassroots individuals, the people who have gotten involved from day one, who have been out there, passing the petitions around. Those are the real heroes. They were the ones who saw the vision, and they made it happen so that now, when everybody's realizing that Gavin Newsom has no intentions of giving up his dictatorial powers, people are jumping on. And so that is why I'm encouraging each and every one of your listeners to go to www.recallgavin2020.com. That's www.recallgavin2020.com. And you click the button, download the petition. You print it out. You sign your name, and you mail it back today. Now, that is the minimum that every one of your listeners should do. If you have any listeners who think themselves a patriot in this country, think themselves someone who loves their country, then they shouldn't send that petition back with just one signature on it, because there are multiple spaces on there for more than one person. And they should fill that out they should find a friend. They should find their neighbor. They should find family members, and they should mail that petition back with 5 signatures. And maybe they go get a second petition. But every one of your listeners, if they haven't done so, the time is now. We got to get Gavin recalled, because until they turn in the 1.5 million valid signatures, Gavin is going to say Californians are full of a bunch of hot air. They talk about how they don't like me, but they're not organized. They're not doing it. And so I encourage each and every one of your listeners, if they haven't signed the petition yet, they do so today. All I want for Christmas is a recalled governor. How about you?
Yes, and I'm holding that petition up as you were talking on that, and yes, it has 5 names on that, of that, and we can't print it out, or you don't want to do that, we will get people from you call the numbers on the IE Newswire deal, you call us, we will get you petitions out, we will get you somebody to sign it. They're about halfway there. We have about 4 months to go to get them on, get this done.
No.
Okay.
You want to sit here and wait another 3 months for Gavin Newsom to use his dictatorial powers? No, we don't have 3 more months. We need to get this done now.
I agree with that.
Okay? Don't say I'll sign it later. We're seeing the pile-on effect today because everybody realizes that this thing is going to happen. You can't wait 3 months to put your signature on it. You need to get your signature on today, and you need to get it mailed today. I can tell you as a lawyer that Gavin is going to play games with it, and we don't want to wait till the deadline. We need to get the signatures in now, not 3 months from now. Don't wait 3 months. This is, if you want to give your friends a recalled governor so that you can return to sanity, don't wait. Don't wait till this weekend. Do it today, tonight, right now.
There you go. You got your marching orders from Mark. Don't hesitate. Get out there and do it right now. And that is true. The quicker we get this done, every day that we sit under the tyranny of the dictator up there, the warden, Gavin Newsom, is another day we don't get back, and further we're going down the toilet bowl that we've been doing. And it's imperative. The quicker we get this done, maybe we'll start seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, what we do here affects people in other states. It affects, what the mayor of Los Angeles does. The mayor of New York says, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's do that." The whole nation is watching California because as California goes, so goes the nation. You're not going to be able to escape California and go to Idaho or Texas or Florida. Because what is happening in California, we are seeing in Florida. Maybe not as bad, but we are seeing some of the dictatorial things that started in California in Texas. We are seeing it in New York. We are seeing it in Delaware. We are seeing it in Idaho. The fight for American liberty is in California, and it is the recall petition. This is your 1776, and this week we saw the major turnaround.
Yep.
When the media started piling on, when the political operatives of the state started to pile on. This is going to be a successful recall petition, and the people in the know it. All you have to do is see how they are responding, and they're making sure that they are able to say, you see, we were covering it, we were talking about it, we helped in it, this is going to happen. And you don't want to be 20 years down the road saying, well, there's that recall going around, and I did not sign my name to it.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know how much more we can take. And just in the anecdotal evidence, when Gavin Newsom, a couple weeks ago, ordered his latest lockdown orders of that, and it was Sunday night, Monday, I hardly noticed any difference in activity. Much difference in March when he first did it, and it's like everything almost stopped. It was like most everybody was like, blank that. We're going on with our lives.
Well, here's the deal. I bet you if I asked your listeners, would you put your name on the Declaration of Independence? They all would say yes. I would have signed the Declaration of Independence. Well, here's the opportunity for you to sign the Declaration of Independence for the state of California by going to www.recall.gov. stopgavin2020.com and sign the petition. Prove yourself a patriot. Prove that you love this country. Prove that you love this state by signing that petition, putting it in an envelope, and mailing it today.
I don't know if it, and I'd like to get your another bright light in the tunnel that's coming up. The San Diego judge that ruled strip clubs and I think by osmosis restaurants could open up. He heard the arguments yesterday between the restaurant, strip club owners and the government. He asked the government, "What evidence do you have that COVID is spreading this or overwhelming our ICU units?" And the only thing they could come up with scare tactics, 5,000 body bags, blah blah blah. And he said, took him like a few minutes, and he said, "No, you're like the LA County judge said with the Restaurant Owners Association. He provided no evidence. Then what on earth are you basing these orders or anything on? It's not on any science or fact."
Yes, it's been very refreshing. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the United States Supreme Court came down with a decision, and they basically chided the judges across. While the United States Constitution, may take a rest. It's not supposed to take a sabbatical due to a pandemic. And they basically chided these judges that they're supposed to start following the law and making these politicians and public health officials to follow the law, follow judicial precedent. And since the Supreme Court has done that, we have been watching judges across the nation start to uphold the law. For the first, 8 months of this pandemic, it was appalling watching the judges just rubber stamp whatever the tyrants, dictators, despots wanted to do. But now, over the last 3 weeks, we have been seeing the court starting to check. We have seen it in the Ninth Circuit. We have seen it in the Supreme Court. We have seen it in the Sixth Circuit, the Fourth Circuit. We've been seeing it in state courts. We've been watching it go on across the state, and it's becoming a massive movement by the courts to finally do their job of refraining these tyrants. But you know what? We cannot rely completely on the judges. We have to go sign our own Declaration of Independence. We have to sign this recall. We have to recall the tyrants because Gavin Newsom needs to be recalled for his violations of your constitutional rights, for depriving people of California of the ability to make a living by taking away people's property without compensation. This has been one of the most atrocious constitutional violations of people's individual rights and their liberties that I think history has ever seen. Gavin Newsom makes King George III look like a toddler when it comes to depriving people of their liberty.
I couldn't agree more with that. And it is. I mean, in my lifetime, I've just never seen anything quite like this. And I was even getting a little bit doubts about this stuff and everybody, because people were kind of, in the last couple of months, kind of like accepting this stuff. But like I say, man, it just took that little spark, and man, the forest fire looks like it's lit, and man, people are just like you've got petitions and stuff out there. It's kind of like the Gray Davis deal when he did the car tax. They're like grabbing them out of your hand, wanting to sign it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all I can say is get it in today. Don't wait. Get it in today. Because you know what? Every month that we wait pushes the election back that much further before we can actually have the recall. There's already enough Sacramento rigmarole that's going to delay the election once we turn in the signatures. But we got to get this on the ballot right away. We got to get it on as sooner rather than later, and that means we need people to get them turned in before the end of this month. And with the holidays and all the Christmas mail going on, that means you need to do it today so that we have them, so that they can be in the count that comes out in the middle of the month of January that might actually trigger this election. If we don't get them in by the cutoff date this month, then it means the election gets delayed another 30 days.
Right.
And if we don't get it by that, then it delays it another 30 days. And if you do that enough times, then all of a sudden there are other triggers by law that could just push this thing out another half year or so. So don't believe the hype that we have 4 months. No, you have 1 day. If you haven't signed it, you need to sign it today.
That's it. You got to get out there. Mark said, get your rear ends out there and start getting those signatures and get them in. And I think it's going to be a much, again, like I said, it's like that momentum switch, man. Just people are like, hey, I've had enough of this stuff. We can't keep going on like this. And again, what's even more interesting is, let's say center left of his supporters or would be his natural constituency or people that voted for him. That's what really that's what really gives me hope in this thing, because I'm seeing a lot of his supporters that supported him now are turning against him.
I'm getting it in my circles also.
And that's a very, very hopeful sign of what's going on. We'll be checking in maybe after, or maybe even next week we'll have you on that, or definitely after the Christmas break on that, to give us an update and motivate the troops out there to go get those signatures. And where did they do it? Mark Meuser.
www.recallgavin2020. Get your signature in, get your friend's signature in, get your family signature in, get your neighbor's signature in. But do it now.
You've got it. We'll chat again soon. Thanks for being on, Mark.
Okay, bye.
There you go. You got your marching orders from Mark. Get it done. And he is correct. The quicker you get this done, the quicker we get to some out of there. And once he's out of office, his pen will not be able to sign those executive orders that have put us into the condition we're in today. And again, do you want to hear one more suicide, especially kids suicide, of what's been going on with the whole enchilada? Every day, and to pick up on what Mark said, every day we delay this or take longer, or I'm going to put it off, or that is potentially one more person that might not be here because of that, or the absolute tragedy of that. You never hear the left or the Newsom supporters or the lockdown supporters talk about the overwhelming that. I've heard the statistic. Last year we had 800,000 suicides. We're at over a million right now, and we have another couple of weeks left to go. 200,000 more possibly have committed suicide over and above what it normally would have in any other year or did last year. I can almost bet, without looking at the numbers, a vast majority, if not practically all of them, were probably due to this COVID crisis, and people that just I recounted the story I was told of the 14-year-old boy that just couldn't take it anymore. I mean, to hear those stories time and time again is not only heartbreaking, but if that doesn't give you the motivation to go out and sign this petition, recall Gavin Newsom, get him out of office, then maybe we can start rebuilding our lives as they were before March of 2020 and all this madness hit. And as Mark said, California is most important. We were the first. Gavin Newsom was the first to put down the lockdown orders on March 18th, 2020. His evil twin governor across the state in one of the biggest states and the biggest city population, New York City, did it the next day, Andrew Cuomo. And we started down this, and New York City, Cuomo and Bill de Blasio, the governor, are talking about total lockdown. The teachers' unions and nurses and grocery store workers, it was just reported today, they're asking for a 4-week lockdown in LA County of that, starting at the first of the year. I don't know how we can take this. I really don't. I mean, if we go down as devastated as people's lives were in 2020 over the collateral damage of all this on that, I just don't know how the vast majority of us could survive another repeat of 2020, as Bill Gates said, Fauci, we're basically not going to be, you're still going to be under this tyranny of lockdowns, social distancing, mask wearing, can't do this, yada, 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 no ability to feed your family, go out and get a job, have the opportunity or start a business. They're taking your businesses away, just as Mark said, the lady down there that in LA, in Sherman Oaks, I think, spent $80,000 on outdoor dining and this and that, and then they shut her down, yet the Hollywood movie studio could have one 3 times the size feeding them because the governor exempted them. You want to talk about fairness? There you go. I mean, how is that? Give me any fair. Put this on side in court. In court. Yesterday, San Diego, just like a week ago in LA. Show us the evidence that restaurants or strip clubs or this are causing this. No evidence. Just we did it because we can. It's absolutely, mind-boggling of what goes on here each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow on a Fast Fun Friday, picking up the pace on that. Hopefully you be that. Thanks, Jesse, for sitting in today, pushing all the buttons, keeping everything going. Steph should be back tomorrow on that. We'll have, as we do, there's lots of news. Hopefully we'll have some lighter, fun news that we can talk about, which seems to have gone away in 2020, but we'll figure something out. Tomorrow will be a brighter day. So until tomorrow, see ya!
All right, guys, take it easy. I will talk to you tomorrow.